everyone, my name's Dan McLaughlin from a company called Smart Pension. We're a digital workplace pension provider, so I don't think we've heard from pensions today. Essentially, we enable small, medium-sized businesses in the UK to comply with their pension auto-enrolment, catchy title, pension auto-enrolment legislative requirements. And it's quite a big thing. It's probably worth explaining what pension auto-enrolment is first. This slide does that. In the UK, legislation came in a few years ago, which means every single employer in the UK has to offer a workplace pension, so a private sector pension for their employees. Lots of people have pensions already, public sector, big companies, very nice. But around 11 million people in the UK workforce, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, didn't have one. Which is obviously unsustainable. As countries develop, get richer, the elderly population grows, their working population shrinks, and they can't afford to pay for their elderly population anymore. So the UK has thought about this for a long time, but is implementing these reforms. So there's about 1.3, 1.4 million employers in the UK, and kind of this slide pretty much shows that a lot of the big ones have kind of gone through early on, and we're now entering a phase which is a bit of a sweet spot for Smart Pension, whereby another million or so businesses will have to set up workplace pensions for their staff this year, pretty much this year. So staff are automatically enrolled. They can opt out within a certain timescale, but they're offered that workplace pension. Currently, in terms of contribution rates, it's pretty low. It's only 2%. Legal requirement is 2%. You can contribute more. That comes employer-employee contributions and tax relief, but it will get up to 8% by 2019. And there's pretty much feeling in the industry that it needs to go to 10 to 15%. Examples in America where people have had products for 20 or 30 years and there's not enough left. There's not in the pension pot when they get to retirement because pension contributions have been below 10%, which is usually not sufficient, even combined with the state pension in retirement age. And this today, the Conservatives have announced their manifesto. Let's assume the Conservatives are going to win the general election in the UK. They've announced that they're going to expand auto-enrolment into the self-employed as well. So that's another 1 million to 2 million. It'll be a slightly different model and etc. But it means it's kind of expanding to people to make sure that more people in the UK have got sufficient income in old age. So 10 million people will probably be covered by the end of it, and quite a lot of extra assets under management by lots of pension companies, 17 billion a year, hence quite a juicy market to get involved in. So how do we respond to this? Well, we've only been trading for 2 years. So basically we looked at kind of 25, 30 things that need to be done in auto-enrolment. We got SMEs, worked with SMEs to kind of rank them and build the technology around it, worked with the regulator. So it's a complete one-stop shop, end-to-end, completely digital, no paperwork. So basically a business can comply with this in minutes. They probably get something through the door from the regulator and actually think, oh Christ, what the hell's a pension? What do I do? Etc., etc. But luckily, we come to the rescue and we can fire it through in minutes. And because we're a fintech, and a second bullet point, this is quite an important thing, we kind of accept every single employer and employee. We don't cherry pick. If you've got one employee earning £12,000 a year, we'll take you on. A lot of the big established players might be 100 years old, 200 years old, have large fixed costs and can't take those on. That's quite an important point because in the UK, it was assessed that the market wouldn't provide for everybody, the 11 million, the 10 million I was talking around. So the government set up its own workplace pension provider. A little bit more expensive than us. We accept everybody. We're in the tens of millions. They accept everybody. It's going to cost the taxpayer 1.2 billion. So there's a message there for quite topically in the UK at the moment with different parties suggesting nationalisation over privatisation. You know, we're quite an efficient way of doing this, but it's really important because we can reach every single part of the economy. We disproportionately have low-paid women. 36% of the 11 million are women, but we have 49% on our books, and we've done their incomes as well, and so we kind of cater for that group and the younger population as well. So we're finding we're a kind of bit of a social objective there. So it's an open API. We built it in the UK, so we get massive integration with payroll providers, one-click integration with Sage, one of the biggest payroll providers, so there's less kind of red tape there. We have linked with advisor platforms, bulk uploads. So if a financial advisor's got 70 small businesses on its books, got to do it at the same time, you can bulk upload, and you can leave on Thursday and have a long weekend. Because we're a fintech as well, low operating costs, free to the employer, always will be, no charges whatsoever, and we just charge 0.75% on assets under management each year. Current progress, pretty good. Say in 2 years, not bad. Almost 40,000 employers, and we hit 200,000 employees today, actually. So that's 100% true. And we're going to be pretty much double, treble in size in the UK market over the next 12 months. And all the funds, in the end of the day, go into one of our biggest investors, one of our strategic partners, Legal & General Investment Funds, which is another great thing, because even if you've got one employee who's earning not very much money, we provide access for pennies to one of the biggest and most successful investment funds in the UK, one of the UK's biggest pension providers. We think that's quite a good thing. It opens up things that are usually reserved for the wealthy. You know, the average working man and woman can get access to these excellent investment funds. So, but why do you lovely people care what we're doing in the UK? I mean, obviously, demographic issues are right across the world. So the top map, 2015, the orange and red where it is, means the older countries. And you can see by 2050, basically the world is old, apart from Africa. And what that means is you've got better healthcare, lower birth rates, lower infant mortality, longer life expectancy, which means over the years, the throughput of people in your society, you have a smaller working population that cannot afford to pay. A lot of countries are hitting this tipping point now, China, other countries. Some examples in Spain, I think this is true to say from some research we did, that in July this year, Spain essentially runs out of money to fund its state pension. So if you leave it too late, you can have a little bit of a crisis. So we're interested in kind of our model to kind of looking at markets elsewhere, where they're looking to replicate the pension reforms in the UK in their countries, like Poland and Ireland are looking to possibly replicate what we've done in the UK. And sorry, yeah, last line is basically, instead of trying to do it yourself, it's maybe look at fintechs as a lower cost solution to ensure your pension reforms can reach every part of your society. Thank you.